back to my live streams. I am again drawing. Once again, I am drawing. I don't remember what the bird's name is. Anyways, my name is Kat. I can at least give you that. And so I am using Sketchbook Pro to draw it on. If you have not joined me for my previous streams, you'll be able to find the video that apparently YouTube actually goes and records while you're doing your videos. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, but that's fine. That's something else that we can go and talk about at a much later date. Anyways, let me find out what this bird's name is because I have forgotten it and I don't know, maybe I might be able to find it out. Oh, here it is. A battler auget. Battler. It's a battler bird. There you go. That is the name of the bird. It's right here on the... Okay. I promise I'm okay. Kind of. Maybe. 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 Let's just go with maybe. Wait. No, this is right. I forgot I was working on a project earlier using the same program. So, some bad things about Sketchbook Pro, even though it's absolutely excellent for doing stuff like this, it has a few quirks. And one of those quirks is that the palettes will open up on whatever, not like your color editor palette, but your custom colors palette will open on whatever your last palette was that you had opened. So that's a lot of fun. I don't recommend it for that, but overall it's still a really, really good program and I do highly recommend it. Same thing with the brushes. It will also do that with the brushes. Anyways, good news. I've had lots and lots of work with it, so... Or I've been working with my tablets. That's what I mean. I've been working a lot with my tablet, and I've worked on some other projects. No, you'll not be seeing them on this stream, but I will be posting them once they are done. This, I promise. I know that I'm terrible at this, but I promise, I promise, I promise, I promise. Okay, what am I up to? I am blending! Even though I should already be done with this project. So, oh, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Ah! Oh, there it is. Okay, that's why. So, not gonna lie. There we go. So, not gonna lie. This is the wrong one. This is pretty, like, yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. So I'm listening to music. I don't think it's music that I can add, that I can play on here, so I'm so sorry. But I'm listening to music. And have you noticed how YouTube... Yes, I know, I'm probably going to get demonetized. Oh wait, I don't get monetization on this. Waha! So I can say whatever I want. Anyways, I shouldn't say whatever I want. Anyways, have you noticed how YouTube has been... This is not what I want. That is also not what I want. Has been more and more recently been giving people like, oh yeah, you know what, you want to watch this? That's sure, that's fine, but you're also going to watch this like hour and a half movie as an ad. It's like, that's not an ad, bro. That's a movie. That's like a legit movie, bro. They're just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We promise. It's a movie. Or it's an ad. It's totally an ad. It's like, no, bro. Nowhere on God's green earth is that a is that not a ad? That is not an ad. There are literal movies. You can go to Sundance and find the same stuff. I will say, thanks to one of those ads, I did end up watching this really, really weird whole episode while I was busy doing something else for a show that I have no idea what it's about. But it made me interested in it. And unfortunately, I can't find it anywhere. I have no idea what it's called. But it was an ad on YouTube. That was the entire first episode of a honestly terrible, terrible, terrible movie, show, whatever. It was a thing. I understand why YouTube does it. I understand why they do things that they do. But it's like, still, come on, man. Give us a break. We know you are hurting for money. And that you want everyone to go and use you. Yeah, I'm gonna stop with that sentence. Anyways. This is what happens when you paint and talk at the same time. Your your mouth runs and runs and runs until you have no idea what you're saying anymore. I was listening to... okay, so I like to listen to Reddit stories while I work. Whenever I don't have to talk. And one of those things is that I like listening to r/. I really, really like it. Because he does like wholesome stuff. I have a few others that I like. If you are ever interested, by all means, I will gladly go and answer them for you. Anyways, I was listening to r/. I don't remember if it was today or yesterday. But he was reading this story, and then he was explaining that while he's reading the stories, he's so focused on what he is or how he's saying something instead of what he's saying. So sometimes he'll read a story completely deadpan, which to my little neurodivergent heart makes me so happy, because it just goes to show that it just goes to show that, you know, not everything has to actually be paid attention to immediately. And that the automatic reaction is not a necessary thing. So I have been or I was listening to that, and he was talking about the fact that, you know, he misses that, and then he has to go back through and reread what he just read, and he's just like, oh my god, what did I just read? I feel a little bit bad for him, because he's like a new dad right now in his streams, or at least as far as I've gotten in his streams. He's still new dad. And the poor dude, he's like reading all these stories, and I'm just like, oh my god, I feel so bad for you, kind of. But this is your job, so, you know, I feel less bad about it. So, you know, I know it sounds really harsh. I'm sorry. Kind of. One day somebody will be just as harsh to me, I have no doubt. But that's okay, because, you know what? We all learn. Anyways, okay, so going back to what I'm actually doing, it's the art. So in case you hadn't noticed, I tend to be slow whenever I'm talking. That's because most people are slow when they're talking, unless their job is to talk. There are quite a few people whose job that it is to go and talk, and guess what? Some of those people should not be talking. Ever. So, you know, 'tis what it is, and Oh, this is probably the... Nope, this is definitely probably most likely the brush that I was using. It's all good. It's all good. Anyways. Anyways, so, you know, but I have come to really, really love this tablet. In a different note. I'm so sorry. I've been a little off. And oh my god. Seriously. Ads are supposed to be like a minute. At most. Seriously. They perfected this back in the 90s. Not even joking. Like, each ad is supposed to be between 30 seconds to a minute. Maybe a minute and a half. But each ad is supposed to be like 30 seconds to a minute. That's it. If you cannot get your message, if you cannot get your message to people in an ad in 30 seconds to a minute, you don't need to be in advertising. But I'm not in advertisement. I'm in art. Unfortunately, that has a lot to do with advertising. So, that's always so much fun. Okay. Ooh, this is probably the ones I was looking at. Yeah? No, definitely not. See, this is one of the bad things. Because I can't remember which ones it was. Course. Yeah, this is definitely my friend. It's my friend! Anyways, if anyone wants to go and if anyone wants to go and say anything or pop on by all means. I am a very friendly human. I try to be, anyways. I mean, yeah, I try to be a very friendly human. I know that I don't always seem like it, but I try to be. Let's all be friendly humans. Anyways. So, something that something that happened a little earlier tonight that I would like to address is mental health. Yeah, I know. I'm not a professional. I only have my own experiences to draw from. But anyone who has done even the cursory glance into the art field is aware that mental health and art have gone together since the beginning. But a part of that is artists tend to be really, really hard on ourselves. Believe me, it is incredibly hard to do this field because it's incredibly undervalued and underappreciated. Incredibly undervalued and unappreciated, like beyond. And it's really sad to see because literally there's so much in this world that if it was not for artists, people wouldn't be as excited over. Yeah, sure, people will still be excited over sports teams, but, knowing which sports team you're a fan of, you gotta know the logos, the icons. Well, who do you think sat there and made them? I mean, sure, the teams could definitely do it, and sports managers and all that could definitely do that. But you wouldn't have jerseys. You wouldn't have, like, you certainly wouldn't have words, because guess what? It has taken millennia for people to even get to the printing press. Imagine writing probably the most famous book ever. Imagine writing all that by hand. There's a reason that prior to the printing press, very, very few people could actually read. It's because you had artisans, most of them were monks, but you had artisans literally spend their days doing what I'm doing right now. Except I'm doing it with a nice pretty pen and digitally, which is 1,000 times faster. But, it can be. But you know what? There are still, those handmade books that everyone's like, oh yeah, those things are so cool. That can take up to several years to make even one. Those beautiful, beautiful books that you see that, you think of the Renaissance and the Dark Ages and all that. The only reason why we know what we know about them is because there was an artisan who, back in the day, was dying to go and finish their stuff because it literally was a pain in the butt for it. But yet, that was their thing. Now, the Renaissance was mostly the paintings, religious iconography, Western religious iconography, and, that was how you spread messages. And I think I've talked about this one before in one of my previous chats, posts, whatever, about one particular art painting that was of two, what are they? Two dignitaries. There we go. Two dignitaries. I think that's right. Anyways, it's of two dignitaries, and in between them is this really wonky skull. Well, unless you A, are in the know, or B, are actually able to read about it, you had to get your messages out some way, and a lot of it was done through iconography. So, literally most of the knowledge that we have about the past comes from paintings and from what little surviving written works there are. There aren't nearly as many as there should be. I mean, even the surviving art is probably not nearly as many as there were back in the day. So, take it as you will. And is this what I was working on? Maybe. Seems like it would be. Now let's go back to this. Okay. Jesus H. Anyways, whoops. Ah. But you know, it's all this like religious iconography and things from the past that really gives us an idea of what people were like. All these paintings that were done by the Mastas, you know, all of those. I've really got to get used to using this pen. Sorry. But you know, all these all this history and stuff, and like even today, you want to know how you buy stuff? You go and look at the ads. Unfortunately, you want to play good games? What's the, like one of the number one ways of telling if a game is good? How the graphics look. You know, I am by no means a top tier graphic artist. By no means am I that. But I know people who definitely deserve to be in whatever graphic or illustration industry they want to be in, who, you know, aren't in that. And it's not just because of where they're at. It's because society as a whole has placed such a has placed such a low value on creative work that it's not encouraged anywhere. And so people who aren't people who are making these financial decisions, you know, these businesses, these large businesses, sure, they'll get a graphic design team because, you know, yeah, it might help with what they're doing. But in the end, you know, they don't understand it. So they can't support it like they would with I'm not bashing on sports. I'm sorry if it sounds like it. But, you know, a sports team is a really good example of what people do with money whenever they have it. It's big, it's flashy, but it's not... I'm not bashing on sports by any means. But how do you know which person you're rooting for? Because the people who created the colors were artists. The people who created the letters were artists. The people who did any of the things, you know, your favorite team's logo, that was done by an artist. Oh my god. But, you know, do you know how much an artist usually makes? If they are, you know, starting out, they make less than minimum wage. An artist is always working for less than minimum wage. Even freaking waiters and waitresses get more money than an artist does. Because here's the thing, unless you are working for a large company, which let me tell you, that is difficult to get into. But unless you're working for a large scale company, an artist is always working for less than minimum wage. Because an artist doesn't shut off their brain. It doesn't matter how... It doesn't matter, you know, hey, time's off. Your brain is always working. And it's really hard to turn that off. And most of the time, for frick's sakes. Okay, forget this. This is just not working. Sorry. Every 30 seconds it seems like there's an ad for something. And it's so dumb. I know, here I am saying, oh my god, artists are great and artists should be paid better. And then I turn around and I'm like, oh my god, ads suck. They do. Because, like corpses to water, there's a certain ad to video, or ad to sound, rather. Ad to music ratio. Speaking of ad to video ratio, more than a few times have I gotten very upset with Spotify. Not that they will ever care. Not that they will ever care what a person who is in the middle of nowhere will ever say. But I've been more than upset a few times at Spotify because their system lies. You know how it will go and say, oh hey, 30 minute, you get 30 minutes free playing after this ad. Cool, great, that's awesome. Or these ads. Cool, great, awesome, 100%, let's go. One song in. Hey, here's this new ad. What the F? And then it gets even better. It will go, I have timed this out. It will go up to 5 minutes. At least 5 minutes playing ads when it's supposed to be playing music. And I'm just like, dude, if you're trying to get me to go and buy your like anti ad campaign, this is not the way to do it, because if you cannot hold your promise of being able to give music, I know, giving music for 30 minutes, hold your ads for 30 minutes, then what makes you think I'm going to trust you to be able to do what makes you think I'm going to trust you to do, there we are. Nope. Nope. There we go. That was bugger. I need to make that back up to 100. Okay, there we go. I did the wrong thing. And I want you to be that dark part of it. Okay. We're going to make you a little bit more. Okay, and we're going to make you bigger. There we go. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, it actually does not encourage me to go and do more Spotify. If anything, it makes me less encouraged to use Spotify. I promise I don't always just rant on how terrible things are now. Usually do much better whenever I have an interactive audience. Okay, I used way too much blending on that. That's okay. I'm on the wrong thing. I've got to go and recalibrate my tablet because Okay, pro tip. When you go to do your calibrations for your system, yeah, don't don't be leaning off to the side while you're doing it, because what happens is that you get things skewed like so. There we go. Much better. So, you know, there's that. Anyways, no. But going back to what I was saying about art and artists not really. Like, any artist that you see online, especially the really high skilled ones, you know, most of those artists should be paid far more than what they are getting paid. And it really sucks because they aren't. Now, I can't give a good scheme on that because, yeah, I'm not anywhere in that ballpark. I just broke $20 an hour. And that is absolutely ridiculous. Part of it is location, but part of it is the fact that people just don't want to pay artists what they're worth. And part of that calculation probably isn't what you think. That's not the one I want. Yeah. Part of that calculation isn't probably what you think, which is part of that calculation is the time spent being devoted to it is the hard work. Because like I said, there is a lot of hard work that goes into this. It's just not as easily seen. And that is the problem. Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I can do art. Yeah, most people can. The problem is that just like with sports, it takes a lot of time to be dedicated. It takes a lot of time to develop the skills that are necessary to create what you see on the screens. I know that I don't really seem like I'm doing a whole lot, but it's more than what it appears to be. I got too used to working in Rebel. Rebel has this really nice thing where when you click on the color, it automatically switches back over to a paintbrush. But I know that I am worth more than what I'm being paid, which is fine. It just depends on what your goals are. And currently, while I would love to be paid more, what I am being paid at is okay, and I'm not at all upset about that. And that's fine. This is still not, there we go. This is the one I'm looking for. You know, I know what I want to be paid at, and that's a really good starting point for a lot of artists. What is that point in which, one, you can be paid at, and two, you know, what covers your bills, and two, what price point gives you more or a little bit to play with. You know, hey, you want to go on vacation. It can't just be all about, oh my god, how much can I make to make my bills at the end of the month? And that's, I'll full and admit, that is one part that I had a really hard time with, and still have a hard time with, because, you know, it's not spoken of very often, and especially when you're in more of a rural community and grow up in a rural community, you know, a lot of rural communities are ruled by the undefined, how do I put this? The undefined value. Another way you can look at it is the value given by a favor. Think of it like when you're moving, the typical favor payment is a couple of pizzas and some beer. Or soda if you don't drink. You know, make it a party. Well, you know, that is kind of the way that art is viewed, is that it's at the undefined favor. Well, it's not an undefined favor. I spent, 5 years in college getting my degrees. And how much is the average debt in college? It's like $40K. Okay. So clearly college and the government has placed a amount of money that can be spent on art, which means that art or illustrations or graphic design is important enough to be classified as a work thing, not just as favors between strangers. Because, if you don't have, or if your friends are unavailable, or if you have special accommodations that need to be made for your, moves and stuff, there are whole services for it, but no one blinks an eye at that. It's only with things that are considered an undefined favor. A truly undefined favor. Because art has been subjected, or has been changed from a everyday necessity to a thing for the rich. It's because only the truly wealthy, for the longest time, could afford it. Now art is affordable everywhere. There are whole sites that are dedicated to selling stuff made by artists. Etsy is a really good one. And honestly, as artists, we need to control the art market better. Etsy let open the door for us to market things directly to clients, to potential customers. And some artists, have made an absolute killing on it, which is really great for them. I am not discounting that. If you are able to sell on Etsy, all the more power to you. That is awesome. Please teach me your ways. No, I've dabbled in Etsy. I'm not comfortable with Etsy. There are several reasons as to why, and a lot of it has to do with I am just my own personal preferences and anxieties that go along with being a neurodivergent person. But artists themselves, we are starting to push our work, push our skills back into the whole, hey, this is an actual skill form, and it is necessary for you to complete what you need to complete. I know that this is going to sound really weird, and absolutely every single artist out there is going to be like, hey, what? But probably one of the biggest examples of the artistic skill is the tax form. The U.S. tax form. I know it sounds really stupid and absolutely unimaginable that I would ever utter something so absolutely ridiculous, but here's the thing, is that the tax form, at least for the United States, follows a very, follows a very, I think I'm done with this. I think there's a couple of things that need to change, but for the most part, I think I'm done with this. But the U.S. tax form follows a very specific thing. There is a hierarchy, and granted this form can be found in pretty much anywhere that there's forms and stuff, but the U.S. tax form follows a very particular, I guess you could call style, or hierarchy setting. Well, the question becomes, how many times did that have to get remade, and by who? Who made it in order? If anyone knows this answer to this, I would love to find out. But, that tax form was created by somebody who understood visual hierarchy and who, was essentially doing everything that it takes to be a graphic designer in there. Now, is it very pretty? No. but can you understand what it's asking you to do? If they didn't use big words, yes. So, you know, it's one of those things where is it what it is meant to be? And the answer is yes. It's supposed to be a form where you get your information from and are able to put information into. You know, I know it sounds really weird. No, there we go. Okay. But that's art, is that you're supposed to be able to present information and make it easy for people to find, to understand. All these like cerebral works, you know what? Good for you. Go and be as cerebral as you want to be. But you know, don't come crying to me when people are just like, no thanks. This is not what I'm wanting. I don't like that one either. Yeah. Yep, that works. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to crop this down. Yep. Okay, enter. And you know what? I am going to add... But no, almost every piece of anything that's out there came from art, and came from an artist, came from a graphic designer, came from somebody who spent years honing their craft, and yet are not given that recognition of somebody who was or has been in any field. Or like most fields, you know, there's some recognition given. But it's just really depressing. Now, that's not to say there aren't like things out there to give that, but it's upsetting that, you know, what makes a good movie? You know, most people say it's the directors. Well, yeah, the director has a very specific vision, but without the crafters to make it, like the FX, visual FX, without the concept artists, without, you know, the CGI artists. Now, granted, I will say that some CGI artists should not be CGI artists, but, you know, without these individuals who spent so much time they are you wouldn't have as many cool movies as there are. Because how many of you went ooh and ah over Transformers when it first came out? It wasn't just because of the music, it wasn't just because of the cars. It was that transformation sequence. Somebody had to sit down, a group of somebodies had to sit down, draw things out, and, you know, come up with come up with how the gears were going to move, how the particular, characters were going to interact. Like all that physics, not just, it wasn't just people with a astrophysics degree or with a mechanical physics. It was artists who asked, hey, can this be done and how does it get done? And, that's how things go. Yeah, I like this. Okie dokie, folks. We have done it. This is my third one. So it took me, or my third day doing this one. So that was 3 hours. I am 2 over than what I wanted to be, but that's okay. Sometimes that's how it goes. Is that you can work and work and work on a piece, but until you get to a certain point, it's not, it. Now, if any of y'all have commission work, what I recommend doing is going and always messaging your clients at the end of the day whenever you're done working. It doesn't matter what time it is. You can even do it at like 9 in the morning if you spent all night. That's why timed emails exist. But that is definitely that thing. Anyways, but that's the reason why that exists, is so then you can go and type an email at like the butt crack of dawn and send it, and then not have to worry about it for the next 12 hours. So I highly, highly, highly recommend using that. Is a godsend if you don't use it already. But always at the end of the day, try to go and send your client at least a screenshot of where you're at the end of the day. And be like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm planning on for the next day I work on it. And just be real open with them. So that way, if they know that, or that way, if you end up taking longer, the client actually sees where you're at. And you're not just leaving them hanging. Because that's how you lose clients. And that is, it's not fun. It's certainly not fun. But yeah, no, this is a thing. So this took me 2 hours longer than I had anticipated. The first day was a complete wash. I have essentially completely removed what I did originally. Oh, you know what? Here, to clean it up. So, I don't know if any of you guys remember the first day, but, so, we're going to close that, we're going to close that, we're going to close that, we're gonna go ahead and close these. Don't worry, I'll open them back up next time. But here we go. That. No. Okay, so this was our background for the first time. And then this was our dude the first time around. And since I can't go and shift things super quickly, oh, here we go. Do. Okay. There we go. Okay. Alright, so there's that dude. I mean, even that one doesn't look too bad. But, you know, here is the second version of it. But, you know, don't be afraid to go back to the beginning even if you don't hit your end. Or even if you miss your due date. Because if you go and try and force something, you'll miss something really great. Alright, folks. My computer or my internet access is being like, no, it's terrible. So I will have to go and sign off. Good thing it's at the end of our time. Woohoo! So, I look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. And we will be back to Andrew Lang's Yellow Fairy book. Yeah! We'll see how much different my painting style is now that I have this tablet. And now that I'm warmed up on it. We'll go and see how different it is. I imagine it's going to be quite a bit different. And I also imagine I'm going to get a lot of different things going with it. Alright, folks, I hope that y'all have a good one and that you enjoyed today's painting session. If you have any advice, please let me know. I will be more than happy to read about it in the comments below. Have a good one, everyone! Bye! As soon as I find... There it is. Alright, bye! I'm so sorry. Bye! Da da da.